Hello, friends and family over here at the Commercial Videographers Group, and well, really everywhere else in the world. I have a lot of friends, and I hope that you all watch tonight. It'd be very, very cool if you participate. Tonight, I'm here talking to Eamon Drew from, well, he grew up in a very small place called Newbridge, Victoria, Australia, which is
Yeah.
193 kilometers south of Melbourne, Australia, and only has 192 people living there currently. That was as of the 2016 census. But today, he's one of the co-founders of BirdDog, the company that makes all the really cool NDI pan tilt zoom cameras and all the other good stuff. So we're here to talk about that, and he's going to tell us all about everything they're doing. So introduce yourself, Eamon.
Yeah. Hi. Thanks for having me on. My name's Eamon. Yep. As Jeff said, I'm from a very small town in country Australia. I grew up, riding motorbikes and shooting guns and milking cows and all that sort of thing. And somehow I've managed to find my way into the technology industry, and now we make video gear. So yeah. Um, Probably not what I should be doing with my life. I probably should be milking cows or shearing sheep or something like this. But hey, here we go.
What made you get into this whole technology world in the first place? What were you doing before
Oh,
BirdDog, or was this was it since college?
well, no. So I didn't go to college. So I moved into the city when I was 18 to try and find work. And just by chance, my first job I was working for a company who sold like the very first video digitization cards for computers. So if people go back that long, it was the Miro DC1. Miro was a company that was acquired by Pinnacle Systems, who was then acquired by Avid. So that's like way back to when I was 18. And actually, at that company, that's where I first met my business partner, Dan. And Dan and I are the co founders of BirdDog. So I've been in the video industry for 23 years, cut my teeth way back when we were like long to go inside computers, and we would capture like video this big on your computer, and probably wouldn't do full frame rates or any of that sort of stuff. So yeah, we go all the way back to the very first
You said
digitization card for video.
the Miro, is that spelled Miro, or
Correct. Yeah, it was a German company, and
I
yeah, they were
remember
acquired
that.
by Pinnacle. Yeah,
I
it's a long time ago
actually
now.
I actually had a DC1 back then. It was very,
You
very
had a
interesting.
DC1, right?
Yeah, I started out
Yeah.
in
So
this a long time ago, so it was.
yeah, well, me too. There you go. So yeah,
Yeah, you're
and so that's
talking.
that's how I
It
got
would
into
it
the
would only capture 240, just 240i. It
yeah,
wasn't even 480 or anything. It was just 240i, and yeah, it was
yeah.
it was. Those were the days.
Yeah, and like they would, yeah. Let's be honest, they'd crap out all the time. They wouldn't do full frame rate playback and all the rest. You had to have some kind of science slash magic degree to be a computer actually get the things to work and stuff. But yeah, we've come a long way in industry since those days for sure.
Yes, fortunately, today you can do 4K, plug a little card in. It's all easy.
Yeah, fire up vMix and talk to someone on the other side of the world. It's crazy, right?
So that is for sure. So you met your partner, and then you guys just magically said, "Let's just do this," or how did this fall into place?
Yeah, okay. So obviously there was a bit of water under the bridge since then. That was when I was 18 and Dan was 18. We're the same age, so that was 23 years ago. Yeah, so it was teenagers. And then Dan left and he did a whole bunch of stuff. He went and worked for Avid for, I think, 7 to 10 years or something. And at one point he was based out of the UK, and he was doing things like setting up TV stations for Al Jazeera in the Middle East, and looking after all of Europe, Middle East, and Africa on the pre-sale side. And I stayed in Australia. I sort of was working as, in the video industry, selling video gear. That's what I've done for my whole life. Dan came back to Australia with his wife, and with the plans to have kids, and so they've done that. And then before BirdDog, directly before that, we actually started a company called Blonde Robot, and they're an importer distributor of video gear in Australia. So and then all of Southeast Asia. So we have an office in Melbourne, an office in Malaysia, an office in New Zealand, staff all through the region, and that company actually is the reseller or distributor for like AJA Systems, New Tech, Teradek, Atomos, all these kind of brands. And yeah, it was through that association with NewTek and selling NewTek products in like 16 countries that we found out about this NDI technology. And Dan and I were having a conversation about what NDI could mean to our industry, uh, what it could mean to people using TriCasters, and then other things like vMix and things like this. And basically, the whole company was started on a question which we were just talking to each other, and it was, okay, this looks really cool. And Dan and I have kept our finger on the pulse of technology for so long, and we've been waiting for an IP format to come along and potentially change everything. And we thought that NDI could be that. But I was speaking to Dan. I said, "Look, this is really cool, but how are we going to get a camera, a live camera, into a TriCaster?" Because this was before NewTek had told the whole world, and as one of their distribution partners, we found out before the public announcement. And I didn't think any more of the question than that. But Dan, being Dan, and being the sort of guy he is, he went away and started thinking about things. About 5 days later, he came into work, and he had a drawing of the Studio NDI, which is our flagship video encoder and decoder. And he said, "Look, there's no way to get a camera into a TriCaster, but we're going to build a box that does." And I said, "Okay, Dan, you crazy man, let's do this," right? And so that was about 4 years ago. Since then, Dan and I have left Blonde Robot. We don't do anything with that business anymore. We're 100% focused on Bird Dog. We're in a different office and everything. And yeah, we sort of made a chip that does NDI, and that was sort of the foundation of the Studio NDI product and essentially our whole company. And that chip then goes into all of our products, and that chip does NDI encoding and NDI decoding in silicon, very much in the same way that AJA partnered with Apple back in the early days of, I think it was probably around 2006, 2007, and they made a product called the IOHD, and that was the world's first ProRes encoder. And now other companies are famous for doing ProRes encoders, like Atomos and Blackmagic all do
Yes.
ProRes in a chip. Yeah, and so fundamentally, what we did is we made the first chip that does NDI, and we had we have a very close partnership with NewTek, of course. Dr. Andrew Cross speaks with Dan very regularly. They're on Skype all the time, and he's
Now,
an amazing guy. He's
a
done so
lot
much for
of
our industry.
there's in the commercial videographers group, there are all levels of videographer. Just today, I was
Mm.
going down the approve list, clicking, approve, disapprove, approve, reject, approve, like that. I admit, it's kind of fun to go delete
Yeah,
because you see, if they don't answer the questions, I don't want them in there.
yeah,
If you can't answer a few simple questions, what is a commercial videographer? Why should we let you in? So I delete
yeah,
those.
yeah.
But as you're talking, it occurs to me that because we have those multiple levels of experience and
Mm.
knowledge, perhaps a lot of the newer guys don't know what is NDI and how it is revolutionizing the world of production.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Okay, so the history of NDI, yeah, so it's about 4 or 5 years old, the technology, but actually NDI, the foundation of it has been in TriCasters for many, many years, the way they send graphics over the network. So it's sort of been an overnight success that maybe is 10 years in the making or something like that. It was developed by NewTek, and specifically it was developed by Dr. Andrew Cross, the president of NewTek. As I was saying, he's an amazing guy, and he's done so much for our industry, all the way back to like video toasters and things like that. Like, he was very involved in those, which were groundbreaking products. So he's an amazing person, and I feel lucky to know him, actually. Yeah, and NDI is a way of sending video across public networks. So it's a way of sending video across an existing gigabit Ethernet network. So I think the video industry has been really slow in adopting IP video. If you look at the audio industry, they've been using IP technologies, for probably 10 plus years. The banking industry went all IP, 15 years ago. The internet's all IP, YouTube's IP sort of thing. But the video industry has been very slow in adopting it. So the beautiful thing about NDI and why it's been so widely adopted is it's a codec and a transport stream in the same package. So what that sort of means on the user side is you don't have to configure anything, because all of that beautiful auto discovery things are built into the transport stream and the metadata of the codec. So If you plug an NDI device into the network and there's another NDI product on the network, it's a way of sending video around existing gigabit Ethernet networks, essentially, but it's a little bit more than that as well. The reason it's been so widely adopted, and it's already in use by millions and millions of computers around the world, including any computer that's got Skype on it and has updated to the latest version, is an NDI computer, because NDI is on Skype. And then there's free tools to watch your computer as well. But it's sort of, I don't use the word paradigm shift lightly. It really is in our industry, because in the old days you would have, say, SDI cable, and that's like a point-to-point cable, so I can go from point A to point B. Cool, and I've connected two things, and then I can route that to somewhere else if I need to. But once you put video onto a network and onto an NDI network, that video is available by any other device on that network at the same time. So you have multiple devices connected to the same stream, which allows for all kind of workflows that just didn't exist before. So it really is a fundamental shift in the way we're creating video and sending video around between different video devices. And
So
I hope I haven't
for
gone too.
something like a church,
Yeah.
or a school, how would a
Mm.
church utilize this technology in just in their sanctuary?
Yeah, great. So a perfect example is we're doing I can't remember the name of the church, but we're doing an installation with a church at the moment. They're using a software-based NDI switcher, such as vMix. There's a whole bunch of them. And then they're using our PDZ cameras. So actually, I've got one right here. So this is a PDZ camera, which can move around, and you can control it robotically. But then they've got 3 of those cameras, and they're all connected via a single gigabit network cable. So one of these connections here, there we go, rather than a traditional video connector. And that gives them power, video, and audio all down the same cable, as well as tally information to know which camera is live on program, and audio intercom as well. And so what that means is they can plug a single Ethernet cable in and then have it available on their mixing desk for then streaming to the web. So rather than having to run expensive and proprietary video cables, they can just run really low-cost Ethernet cables. And the upshot of all that is it'll save them money, time, and complexity of setting up a streaming network.
So if a church had a gigabit network sitting there in their rack, just a switch, theoretically, how many of those PTZ cameras could they connect to that network at a time and still not drop frames at 1080p?
Yeah. Okay, so at 1080p 60, the data rate of NDI, because it is a variable bit rate, so it does go up and down a little bit depending on what's happening in the video. But if you allow for about 140 megabits at the top, then that's plenty of room. So that means you can fit 6 or 7 cameras down a single gigabit Ethernet pipe. And then depending on the kind of switch and how it's set up, if it's got, that means 6 or 7 per port on the switch. And then if you've got 10 gigabit on the backplane to connect to, say, your vMix machine, that means you can do 60 or 70 streams on a small, switch that you can buy from your local office store.
You're talking
It's
about
pretty amazing,
60.
really.
You just said 60 to 70 streams, meaning on a 10 gig switch, 60 to 70 cameras.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. So with switches, yes, that's exactly right, though. Here's the thing. So some of the switches out there, they'll have, say, 10 1 gigabit Ethernet ports, which gives you 60 or 70 streams, and then they'll have a 10 gigabit connection at the back. So the uplink on the back. Yeah. So yeah, potentially you can even do that many on a gigabit switch. It just depends on which kind of switch it is. Yeah.
Now, do these network cables have to be shielded, or can you just use any old Cat5 cable to carry this much data?
Yeah, so you can, but obviously we would recommend you use a Cat 6, and then a shielded Cat 6 is even better. So,
Yeah, I had
but
an issue with
again,
that in
like,
installation recently.
yeah, yeah. So it's definitely preferred to go shielded. You can run it on just a any network cable that you've got in your building, but yeah, it's better to run it on an isolated network and use shielded Cat 6 cables. But
In other words, you don't want to put it on the same network with the office computers and everybody else streaming YouTube down the hall.
see, this is the thing. you can theoretically, and it will work, but with any video network, because of the bandwidth required and the the continuous stream of information that is going through all the packets, it is better to run it on an isolated network for sure.
What if you wanted to take one of these PTZ cameras, or really, I know there's a Bird Dog Mini, and which
Yep.
is not wireless. It connects into a network cable. But what if you wanted
Mm.
to run that somewhere else across some sort of wireless connection? Could you
Yeah,
how
so there are a few ways to do it. Yeah, there's definitely a few ways to do it. There's another format called NDI-HX, which is the lower bandwidth version, which we don't really do much with, but there are
Okay.
other products out there from NewTek and things like that that can do it. And that can send over a Wi-Fi network and things. Um, we would suggest, though, sorry, I've got a bit of a cough. We would suggest using a dedicated network, though. It gives you the higher bandwidth version of NDI, so better video quality, and it gives you lower latency and things like that as well.
When you
If you
talk
need to
about the
send,
network cable, when you talk about a network cable for these cameras, there's a distance limitation on an SDI cable. So, but what about this network cable? Assuming that you needed to send a signal all the way around your church or your school from building to building, are you limited to that 300 feet or 100-meter length on that cable, and how do you solve that problem otherwise?
yeah, that's a great question. So yes, you are limited to 300 feet or 100 meters on a copper cable. But the beautiful thing about networking is you can run a fiber cable, and then that can be miles and miles and miles. It can be literally as long as you want.
Outstanding.
And
Today
yeah,
you announced. I mean, I'm very interested. You can talk about anything you want, but these are the things that are
yeah,
interesting to me. Today you made an announcement. I've been looking for a way to do intercom that doesn't require that I go out and I buy all this ClearCom gear. I don't want to do all that
okay.
ClearCom gear hauling extra cables all over the place.
Mm,
And so I've I watch people and they say, well, I use this thing on my phone and this headset thing with my phone, this wireless thing through a gaming app or whatever. I've done that. I've done Skype calls where you just sit and talk to each other in a conference call over Skype or just a regular cell
sure.
phone call, two or three people. And it works. But today I found out about this product you have that it's like a matrix. A lot of people don't necessarily
Yeah.
know what a matrix is, but tell me about this.
Yeah, so there's a few things, a couple of things we've announced. So one is we've announced, and we were planning to do this at NAB, but given the way the world is, NAB's not on, and we thought that why wait? Let's bring the promotion forward. So we're giving away Central Pro and Comms Pro, which are two software platforms we make. Combined, they're worth about almost $1,500, and we're giving them away free for schools, churches, and not for profits. So to your question about the comms, so comms is an audio intercom solution, and all of our products were sort of designed to have the ability to do comms in them. So in all of our hardware, you'll see a little 3.5 millimeter headset jack with a little headphone icon like this,
Yes.
and that allows you to then plug in a headset and join our audio intercom system. So we have a kind of a saying in here that we want to try and stop the amount of cases that our videographers have to carry around. So, like in this little box, we not only give you NDI encoding and decoding, we give you the audio intercom solution, and we have a free version available for commercial videographers as well. We give you NDI encoding, a full tally system, so you can see which talent, which camera is active for the talent on camera. Struggling a little bit with cold here. Don't worry, it's not coronavirus. I've got a cold.
It's okay.
And
You're not
yeah, and we give
contagious
you
through the wire here.
power. Thankfully, no. And we give you power as well down the Ethernet cable. So we give you video, audio, tally, audio intercom, and power all down a single cable. And yeah, and so the audio intercom software, it allows you to just load it up on the computer, and then you can set up all your party lines and things like that.
I'm trying to switch to the web page so I can put it up on the screen here. See if it'll
Sure.
load.
While you do that, I might take some water so that I don't.
Oh, perfectly fine. Everybody's relaxed here.
Yeah,
I'm just
we
hoping
have
to
to be.
load it. It was going so slow on me a minute ago, I wasn't sure if it was going to work at all. My connection
Yeah,
tonight is really iffy. Let's see here.
it's too
Let's
many
put,
kids at home watching Netflix and things.
yeah, let's
I
see
do
if I can,
think it's one of the. Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to see if I can scroll down here because it's,
There we
yes,
go.
there. So what are we looking at on the screen? I mean, we're talking about audio intercom, but what I see is an interface with videos,
Well, yeah. So this is sort of the power of IP video, right? Is that the audio and the video is connected in the same stream, and because it's all on the network, we just load the software on a computer. You plug the computer into the same network as the video network, and then it automatically just sees the source. So we can then play a little preview window of that source in the audio intercom, so that the director has a visual cue as well, which camera they're looking at, and who they're talking to. Then this is on a touchscreen like a Microsoft Surface, but you can obviously run it on a laptop or a computer as well and use a mouse. But if you're running it on a touchscreen, then it becomes a touchscreen application as well.
very cool. See, I just fell in love with this when I saw it today.
Oh,
So
thank you. Yeah. So
it's it was having trouble. My mouse doesn't want to scroll it very smooth. So you have a how many if you buy the Comms Pro version, the full version, there's no limitation on how many different sources can come into that. Like you said, 60 or 70 cameras,
yeah.
right?
So for the comms application, you can see as all of the sources on the network, and they can be thousands. But in terms of having party lines, it's limited to 30 users, and
Okay,
that's more to do with processing power than anything else. We can probably expand that in the future as computers get faster. Um,
that makes
and
sense.
then yeah, and then you can uh, uh, basically set up your party lines, your groups. You can have up to 5 groups and up to 30 users.
You can do some serious production with 30 camera ops and several different
I know,
groups.
that's sort of what we thought as well. As when we were launching, is like how big do we make it to start? And we sort of thought 30 is probably enough for 97% of the users out there. And if they're going above 30, then to be completely honest, they're probably going to look at something else anyway, like a Regal or a ClearCom or one of these sort of dedicated systems anyway. So
Now you said that there's a COM Lite version. I think I heard you say that because the signal cuts in and out on your end sometimes. What the COM Lite version?
sorry,
What's
yeah.
the limitation on that?
So that's 100% free for everybody. So not just for churches and schools and not for profits. So for commercial users as well. That gives you one director and 4 camera operators. Um, So anyone doing a 3 camera shoot, that's enough for them. The limitation is that you don't have so you can talk to the camera talk back to the director,
You
but the
just
camera
cut out
operators can't
again.
talk to each other.
You said the
Oh, okay.
limitation and suddenly you cut out. What was the
That's
limitation
the
again?
limitation. Yeah, no. So the limitations are that the director can talk to the camera operators and talk at the same time. The camera operator can talk back to the director, but you
Okay.
can't talk camera operator to camera operator.
Ah, that's still very workable. Very, very workable.
Yeah, I know, right? So for most people, that's probably okay, and it's free. So
That's fantastic. Now, in order to make that work, you have to have something like the Bird Dog Mini on
you do need an
for
endpoint, yes.
you have to have one for every single camera, of course, because you're going to need to encode those cameras anyway. And then the
Correct,
director
yeah.
needs one, or does the director just need a laptop?
Yeah, so because you run the software on a computer, so that can be a laptop, a Microsoft Surface, or a desktop, then you just plug the director plugs their headset into the sound card of that computer.
Well, that's unbelievably affordable then, because you, I mean, if I correct me if I'm wrong, but a Bird Dog Mini in the United States costs about $400. Is that correct?
It, it's 495, yeah. So this is 495, and yeah, it's made out of aircraft grade aluminium too. So we made it production ready.
So for $500, you get an intercom, you get a matrix for the video, the proper talkback, and full NDI. Not you can still do NDI HX. Am I correct on that, or it's only full NDI?
No,
So maximum quality,
it's full
really.
NDI only. It's
Oh,
full
that's
NDI only,
fantastic.
yeah. if you're plugging an Ethernet cable in, there's no real need to do the lower format anyway, because you've got 6 streams you can fit in one cable anyway, so it's more than enough. You may
Okay,
as well do the high quality. Yeah,
most definitely.
and
Wow, that's unbelievably affordable.
interestingly, yeah, thank you. And interestingly, computers like vMix actually can and this, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of, iframe codecs and long GOP codecs and all that sort of thing, but because of the way NDI is, it actually takes less. The full version, which is 140 megabits, up to takes less CPU power to play back on a computer than the HX version, because it's a long GOP codec, even though it's at 12 megabits roughly. It's actually, you can decode more streams of full NDI on a computer than HX streams. It seems counterintuitive, but it's actually the case.
It makes sense. Less compression, less work.
Correct. Yeah, you don't have to decompress. You get it. You go all the, when we're talking about IBP
Yeah.
codecs and MJPEGs and all this stuff, right?
So what else is really cool over at Bird Dog?
What's really cool at Birdog is we're literally in manufacturing now for our new 4K line, and we're really excited about these. So these have been a long time coming. They were delayed a little bit because of manufacturing out of China and what's happening in the world right now. But this is our 4K product. So this is similar in that it's still got your tally, it's still got your audio intercom, but it just does everything in 4K. So there's a few nice things about it. Is we have the tally on the front. But this product has come from listening to our customers for about two years. We were planning this product. So it has things on here, and you can't see it really that well because it's not on. But there's a little OLED screen on the front here.
Yes.
And this will tell you things like the IP address, the device name, the resolution, and the frame rate that it's encoding at. And obviously, all of our products can be set as decoders too, so I'll talk about that after. But it also has 10 gigabit, an SFP plus cage on there. And for people, that means you can run a fiber optic cable directly out of the unit. So if you've got one on the other side of the football field or the soccer field or something like that, and you want to run that camera back to your main unit, you can do that running fiber. So you can still run just the single cable directly out of the unit. It's also got our audio intercom and things like that, of course, and cross converter. So we have 3 in the range. There's a single channel HDMI, a single channel SDI, and a 4-channel 4K P60 unit. So we have one that's the same size as this. That will do 4 channels of 4K P60 encode or 4 channels of 4K P60 decode.
Wow, that's
And
nice.
you can
Down
mix them.
one fiber.
Yeah, down one fiber. Yeah, correct.
Holy cow! So you can go to the field on a football field. You put 4 cameras over there and 4 cameras over here, but only one cable. That
Yeah, correct.
makes things so much simpler. And then from there, just distribute it. I didn't catch the part you mentioned, the RJ45 connection, the network, regular Cat6 shielded connection.
Sure.
It's on there, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
on
I thought
here.
I saw.
Yeah, that's
So,
on here. So you get both, right? So you can run,
oh
if you're
yes,
just doing
yes.
single channel. The
Okay.
reason we put the SFP on there is for fiber runs,
Yes.
but also if you're using our 4-channel box, then you're going to go above the data rate of 1 gigabit Ethernet. So you're going to need to run 10 gigabit out of there as well.
Okay.
But for the single channel boxes, you can just run the single Ethernet RJ45, and that's power as well. So it's PoE, so power over Ethernet. So you
And
can get
so
your video, your
one
audio.
box, this one box will eat up one entire gig on your switch by itself.
Oh no, okay. So the data rate at 4K P60 is
Yes.
between 300 and 340 megabits.
Really?
Yeah, so
That's
you can still fit multiple.
fantastic.
Yeah, so you can still fit 2, potentially even 3 streams of 4K P60 down a 1 gigabit Ethernet cable. But if you're doing more than that, like our 4-channel box, then you probably need 10 gigabit through the SFP plus cage.
Most definitely. But still, 300 or 400 megabit is not that big of a deal. Not on
No, not
a
really.
gig switch. You could easily run
Yeah, no,
2
not really
per
at all.
gig. That is really fantastic.
Yep.
Wow. So
That'll
what else
be
is there?
that'll be shipping this month. What else is new? Um,
I
we have
saw.
our range of pins.
I was scrolling through the website and I saw some different cameras there. They were white, as if they were My impression was that
Oh,
they're not in production yet.
they are. I'll grab one for you. One second.
This is really
Uh,
interesting. Eamon Drew, the co-founder of BirdDog.tv. If you ever wanted to find a way to move your cameras around, these days NDI is the way to go. Way, way easier
sorry,
than SDI.
sorry to blank screen on you there, but okay. So this is our A200 camera,
Oh, okay.
and oops, this way. Here we go.
It's a security camera. I must have seen
Yeah,
it
it looks like a
differently.
security camera, but it's actually a broadcast camera. So this has a Sony sensor, a Sony image module, 30 times optical zoom. It's basically one of our PDZ cameras, but in a weatherproof housing. Um, so this is IP67 rated. It'll go in the rain or snow because it'll go from minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit to plus 140 degrees Fahrenheit, which in
Whoa.
Celsius is minus 40 degrees to plus 60 degrees. So pretty much you can operate anywhere on the planet. And yeah, it's got a little windscreen wiper as well to wipe off the rain and the snow.
Is this a 1080p or a 4K camera?
This is 1080p 60, yeah. And we've actually sold these to people like the White House in the USA. So there's one of these hanging off the president's house. It's in the Philly Eagles NFL stadium. I think the New York Mets were looking at it quite seriously. We've sold a bunch to the Olympics. So there's going to be 30 of these going to the Olympics, but I don't know that the Olympics are on anymore. So yeah, it's an all weather camera, perfect for like things like high schools, college sports. You can put one on the side of the football ground, for example, and then track the action. And because it's got a 30 times optical zoom, you can zoom right in and all that sort of thing as well. Yeah, and it spins 360 degrees as well, so you can keep spinning.
Oh, really? Infinite spin.
Yeah, yeah.
Whoa,
So it'll do
that's cool.
360 degrees. Yeah, and
What's
it's really fast. So
when
it's
you
fast enough to track live sport.
when you talk about a 30x optical zoom, what does that translate into roughly in millimeters?
Oh, I get asked that question, and I don't know the answer off the top of my head. But you can basically zoom in onto something, on the other side of a football field, no problem. You can probably go from the goal line to goal line and get a decent enough angle.
Yeah, I could relate to that. If I
Yeah.
recall the
So it's pretty heavy, so I'm going to put it down.
oh, no problem. No problem at all.
Ooh, it wants to roll off the table. I'll put it on the chair over here.
It's okay.
Yeah, yeah. So we have two all-weather cameras, and they're sort of been a lot more popular than we ever expected. Um,
Do you
yeah,
have
and
a
we've got
4K pan tilt zoom camera yet? Because I do not recall
we
seeing that.
we do. Unfortunately, because of the virus, I'm actually in the office at the moment, but I'm the only one here. But all of our engineers have taken all of the demo equipment home, so I don't have a
Okay.
huge amount here. But we do have a 4K camera shipping next month.
How
It's
much is
called
that
the
going to cost?
P4K.
What's that going to cost?
Yeah, so this one is sort of top of the range. This is like $8,000. It's got a Sony Exmor R 1-inch sensor.
Wow.
So for those of you video nerds out there, we've got black level control, we've got gamma control. It's a full 4K full 4K signal off a Sony Exmor R sensor. So the pictures off this thing are beautiful. It's really like a high-end production camera that's sort of designed more for TV stations, permanent studios, this sort of thing.
I have been waiting for something of that quality in a pan tilt zoom. I've owned several pan tilt zooms, but then when you compare them to your Ursa or your Pocket 4K or your Pocket 6K or a Red or something like that, you just kind of go, oh man, it's not there yet, not there yet. But what you just described, the 1-inch Exmor, that's really nice.
Yeah, people are going to be very surprised at the picture quality of this. We've even exceeded our own expectations, to be completely honest. On the test bench, we saw some images the other day, and we were kind of blown away. So that'll be coming out soon. That's the sort of camera that we understand people want to see in person, rather than just us publishing, demo video on the internet. So we'll get that around to as many people as we can. But yeah, that'll start shipping within just a few weeks. So.
Man, that'll be powerful because to couple 4K with the ability in vMix to do virtual inputs. So you've got a virtual input a pan tilt zoom in 4K that you can zoom in and out 3 or 4 times virtually, a digital zoom within vMix, and then to have a 32x or 30x optical zoom on top of that.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the P4K, which is our 4K one, it doesn't have a 30x. It has 12 or 18 off the top of my head.
Still, that's a lot.
So it's still, yeah, it's still going to be enough for most people for sure. And as you say, you can shoot a wide 4K image and then just take the HD image out of that in vMix, and then stream that to the web. So,
is this particular camera going to be able to, within vMix, you can create a virtual input or like you've got a within vMix you can take a pan tilt zoom camera and then you can control it by creating a virtual input and it memorizes positions. Do you know what I mean? Is this
yeah,
camera going to be able
absolutely.
to do the same thing? It will still be controllable via vMix so that if you switch to this memorized position, it just goes automatically, or do you still need that external controller with all the memorized positions?
No, you can load up presets in vMix and then it'll just you hit a recall preset and then it just moves back to where that preset was for sure. Yeah.
Man, in 4K. See, I have a gear fetish.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go get another mortgage so I can buy some of these cameras. That's beautiful.
I thought I was helping you out on this. I thought we were going to have some fun on this call. I didn't realize it was going to cost you some money. I'm sorry, Jeff.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's always, well, that's why I'm surrounded by toys.
Yeah.
I drive a real
No,
crappy old car, but I have nice cameras.
that's the way to do things.
Yeah. Well, it's been super nice. Anything else you'd like to add today?
No, that's really it. We actually probably the only other thing I'd like to add is that we've got a huge amount of announcements coming for NAB, which isn't on now. So if people want to tune into our social media channels like Facebook or Twitter or probably LinkedIn as well, that's where we kind of announce all of our things, and we'll be making I think it's 10 plus announcements between now and the end of April. So there's a lot going on. We've got a lot of
Well,
things up our sleeve, and
next time you do those announcements, then you should come over here and announce them, and I'll provide this media to do that. That'd be really cool.
sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. Unfortunately, we can't travel at the moment, but that's why we have to do these virtual things. But yeah, absolutely. If we could
Yes,
do
that's
that,
what
I'd
I
be
mean.
a
Most definitely. Make your
Okay.
announcements right here.
Okay, sure. I'd love to.
Yeah, just type away and say, "Hey Jeff, we want to make another announcement. Hook us up," and I'll be happy to do that. That'll be super cool.
Sounds great. Yeah, I'll definitely be in touch.
Yeah, maybe we could do because we have a signal issue on your end, so maybe I can send you a video transport, and maybe we can get a little bit better quality on that end, hopefully.
Yeah, I could even set up a solution which is across the
Yes,
world, and
yes,
then
we could definitely do that.
you could load that
That's
up in vMix as well. Yeah.
yes. Well, you should definitely demonstrate that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I feel a little bit unorganized today because yeah, I'm the only person in the office and none of the gear is here. But normally we could load up cloud and then I could have the PDZ set up and you could even control them from your location. So
Well, let's do that. That's
sure,
cool. Let's do
um,
that.
yeah, it'll take a little bit of time for me to get the cameras back from the engineers, but yeah, we can probably set it up in a week or two. Yeah.
That'll be fantastic. Yes, you can't get cameras and toys back from guys who love them. It's like taking candy from a baby. You just can't do
Yeah.
that.
Well, it's funny. Like our engineers, they go, "Cool, I've got the camera," and the first thing they do is they get the screwdriver out and they're undoing the whole thing and ripping the thing apart because they want to have access to the boards. And so we give them these beautiful cameras, and the first thing they do is take them all apart. We're like, that's what they need to do. But yeah,
I guess that's an engineer for you.
yeah. I like we're obsessing about the packaging and the box and the look and the feel of the cameras. Not just from a picture point of view, but the whole experience. And then the first thing they do is, who cares? Just rip it open.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to be tearing cameras open myself. That's just not my area
No.
of expertise. I just like to shoot and aim, shoot and aim, shoot and aim, make it look nice.
Yeah,
Well, it has
absolutely.
been super great having you here all the way from Melbourne. Did I say that correctly? Melbourne? Melbourne?
Well, we say, yeah, in Melbourne, we say it's basically pronounced the way you would type it is Melbin, Melbourne.
Melbourne. Melbourne. Melbourne.
Yeah,
I got to work on
that's
my
it.
Australian accent. I'm too much of a redneck.
No, that's
Yes.
okay. I'm a redneck, but an Australian one. Yeah, it's Melbourne. That's how the Aussies say it. So
Outstanding. Well, I'm glad you showed up today. I'm glad we had this chat. It's beautiful. It's getting to the
awesome.
point
Yeah,
where I'm looking about going to bed because it's 10 o'clock, and last night I had one of those nights. I'm awfully worried.
yeah,
I
yeah.
have so many friends who are in their 70s and 80s, and this whole virus thing is bothering me. Nobody wants to
It's
lose their friends, and people in that age
no,
group
it's a general
apparently are really high
concern.
risk.
Yeah, I've got my parents in the high risk category as well. It's a definite worry. I've been sort of telling, my mother and father to just stay at home. Like, if you need to, I'll organise because they both live about an hour and a half away. I'm like, I'll organise food delivery for you and stuff like that. Just stay at home, please.
We don't hear too much news about Australia here in that regard. We hear everything about how New York City is closed down so much. It's like, well, it's all locked down. And of
Mm.
course, right where I am. But how strict are the restrictions in Australia right now?
So they're not super strict, but it's basically they're still working on kind of, I guess, the right way to describe it as advice. Not many people are working from the office, although you can if you want to, but it's kind of very, very frowned upon. For example, Bird Dog, we don't have anybody coming into the office. That's why I'm here by myself. Um, Everyone's working from home. Everybody I know personally is working from home at the moment. Um, all the restaurants, bars, and nightclubs and things like that, they're all closed. Public gatherings of more than 10 people are not on. So, if it's a wedding or a funeral or something like that, then yeah, it's a 10-person maximum.
Very similar to where I'm
Um,
at then.
yeah, I think from what I'm hearing, Australia's pretty similar to the USA.
Interesting. What a change it's
But for the
making in the
commercial
world.
videographers, well, absolutely. But for the commercial videographers of the world, it actually does open up some employment opportunities because people can't gather, so they have to stream it, and it's times like this that the commercial videographers can not only make a little bit of money and get some work, but they can also do a lot of service to a lot of people.
That would definitely be the case. Things have ticked up for me,
Mm.
that's for sure. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
well, that's great to hear. Yeah,
Oh, yeah. I mean, even here in the middle of southern Idaho, where there's just two horses there and alfalfa and corn back there, even here, business is picking up. I'm just sitting here in the
that's great.
studio. Sitting here
That's
in the
great. Yeah,
studio.
that's
So
awesome.
that's why I love the technology. I love the technology. So yes, next
Yeah,
time you come on here, let's connect up with your cloud. Let's play around with that and show everybody how it works. So as soon
for
as the
sure. Yeah,
engineers
we'll
put the
try.
cameras back together and come back in the office, let's do that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so probably in a few weeks, they'll hopefully when this is sort of blown over a little bit, we'll be able to set it up. We'll keep in touch on that.
Outstanding. Well, thank you very much.
Awesome. I appreciate it a lot, Jeff. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, cheers.